We welcome in our man Jason Jones of The Athletic. Jay, you left us last week talking about all the work you had to do over at The Athletic. And man, we were talking about Paul Heyman and we were talking about Roman Reigns here. You just had a conversation with O'Shea Jackson Jr., who's a huge wrestling fan. He talked about Roman Reigns. We asked earlier, it's always been definitive who the best manager is in the history of wrestling. Is the conversation changed now? Is there a new greatest manager in the history of wrestling?
The greatest manager in the history of wrestling? Heyman's got to be up there.
It's Heyman or it's Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, I think it's a two.
And to me, I think it's Heyman now.
Yeah, I'd rock with that.
I think Heyman's the guy. Whether you call him an advocate or a wise man or an agent, like he's the dude.
I think he is number one. But the thing I would always say about Bobby Heenan, when I was talking about earlier, is he was so good. It was Hogan versus Heenan. It wasn't Hogan versus whoever it was at the time, Mr. Perfect or whoever he was managing. That was just a character. It was always Hogan versus Heenan. That's how good Heenan was.
Yeah, I mean, Heenan was great on the mic. I think one of the what makes to me Paul different is that Paul's been with some guys who were great on the mic too, and still been able to like be Paul Heyman. I mean, Roman's gotten way better. CM Punk, I mean, CM could drop some promos, and then you just look at. I think I'm probably also kind of biased because I was a big ECW fan. So, I mean, I always kind of lump all of that in there with Paul. But, yeah, I just think once you add Paul Heyman, now that you add him to the mix with anyone, it completely changes their character. I just think
Jay,
I think
Jay got a shot this weekend? Do you think Jay got a shot this weekend?
No.
Oh.
I think he's winning this weekend.
I don't think
he's winning this week. I think he's winning just because that's the way it should go. And then also, he ain't on a SmackDown promo, or Roman isn't on a SmackDown promo.
Well, here.
Yeah, SmackDown.
Well, that doesn't matter. Like he's at the point where he doesn't work every week.
Jay winning. Jay winning. Hey, no votes for Slick?
No.
No.
Slick did manage. He wanted to manage the first black heavyweight champion of all time, Akeem the African Dream, but it didn't quite work out. That
Hart can be up there, you know. You start going way back in the day, you know, J.J. Dillon, but he really only had one stable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, ain't no. You can't have Roman beat Cody Rhodes in WrestleMania and then lose to Jey Uso. He can't lose his title to a tag team guy.
It's Jay.
You can if Solo turns on him and goes with his brothers.
I guess so, yeah. I just don't see it happen.
I don't think it happens either, but I can see the story. I could see it. I could see it working. I don't think it happens, but I can see it working.
I would go so far as to say they would have fumbled this whole thing if it doesn't happen.
Okay, that's extra.
They've been working for 3 months on this particular finale. They've
been working for the breakup.
The breakup's already happened. Breakup's done.
But the breakup is probably the finale. This is just a
so
piece
Roman
of it.
wins again even after the breakup?
Probably.
Well, the breakup hasn't happened because Solo's still there.
And the way that happens is Solo.
That's what you could do. That's how you get out of it.
Unless Jimmy comes back and he tries to help Jay and he accidentally super kicks Jay and then Jay gets speared. Then you got more family chaos, and there's got to be another member of the family.
I was gonna say there's like a fourth. Doesn't Superfly have a son somewhere?
There's got to be someone else who shows up, or Rikishi comes down there to put his.
Wait a minute, that's Tamina. That's Tamina.
You know, Nyla Jax returns. Like the whole.
No.
I mean, there's going to be something. There's just not going to there's going to be something.
You you hit me right in the feels last week with the Reggie Lewis article. That story has always stood out to me like so much because for some reason I remember exactly where I was when I found out like Reggie Lewis died. Like y'all, like you and Deuce, you guys grew up listening to sports talk radio and calling in, and I grew up listening to Davey D and Ebro. And I remember when Davey on 102.5 came on and said that Reggie Lewis died. And I was like, yo, wow. Like that's where like I had really started to get into a vibe as a basketball fan. And I just remember being stunned that a professional basketball player that I knew and liked died. And man, the conversation that you had with D Brown, man, that was great stuff. I think it was the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, 30th anniversary. Yeah.
And that was great stuff.
Yeah, and for D, it was just a crazy couple of days because just that I talked to D the morning the Bronny James stuff came out.
Oh,
so he was just like, man, you see that he's already thinking about Reggie, and me growing up in LA, we had Hank Gathers happen. So it was just like, and then he said, you take it back to Boston. Remember they lost Len Bias. And then you think you've got your next guy with Reggie, you lose Reggie, and me and D were saying in the conversation, this wasn't like today's NBA where you could just clear a bunch of cap space and say, okay, let me go ahead and get someone. Like, he had 12 spots. There was no two-way contract. There was no G League. You couldn't just he said there was no plan for, okay, we're going to lose Reggie Lewis like this. There was no plan for that. And he said it really. I know D. He even said in the article like he was supposed to be a role player, basically. He said he ended up having to be like the best player, and he was just like that. Just through he wonders how his career would have gone if he was playing alongside Reggie, and the way it ended up going. D ended up playing with a bunch of guys. A lot of guys not in the league anymore. The Celtics go through a bunch of coaches. They go through the whole Rick Pitino thing. They think they're going to get the #1 pick. And they get like the worst possible scenario in the lottery they could get. It just really set them. I mean, they didn't get another star in the draft till Paul Pierce. And even then, they wanted to run Paul out of town until they got KG and Ray out there with him.
Yeah. Do you? I vaguely remember. I remember the moment, obviously, but I don't remember the player. For people like myself, maybe even younger like Jesse, how good was Reggie Lewis? Like where would you who's comparable to him today?
I asked D that, and D was like, he said that in terms of where he could score, he said first off he hates comparisons. He said it's because it was a different era, different style of ball. Reggie would kill you in the 2-man game. No, not 2-man, the mid-range game. But he said in terms of just the variety of moves, he likened him to Durant. Obviously, Durant's way taller, and Durant is Durant. But he just said this: he had a variety of ways he could score. He was a two-way player, played defense. He was a 6'7" guard, and and D was like, if Reggie would have had the chance to finish his career, he said he thought Reggie was better than Mitch, better than Reggie Miller, better than a lot. He would have been better than a lot of guys.
He averaged his second year, 18, when he really started getting minutes and playing games, 18.5 points per game, went to 17, 18.7. And then the final 2 years of his career, he averaged 20.8 points per game.
Don't forget that playoff with 90, that playoff series where Bird was hurt a lot. And, that was, Reggie. Reggie averaged about 29 in the playoffs that year.
We kind of, and these are men who had families and they're more than just basketball players. So I hope it doesn't get taken the wrong way or no disrespect to nobody. But, Reggie Lewis and Ricky Berry, it feels like, we were cheated from two possible really good ball players in this league's history with just untimely deaths, and tragic situations. Len Bias as well. Yeah, Len Bias as well, obviously. But, man, these were guys that potentially could have been, greats that, we didn't get an opportunity to see play.
Yeah, throw Hank Gathers in there. We don't know what would have happened with Hank if he had lived. I mean, it's like they said, it was just you know nothing you can really do. It's just sometimes life happens, and and they said Reggie's death really shook that franchise in a way that 'cause they were still kind of trying to get over the fact they lost Len Bias the
Yeah.
way they did. So it wasn't there had been time, but everyone deals with their mourning differently, and then when just hey, he was working out. What do you mean he was working out? And it's and they tried to yeah, it was just he said it was just a rough time. Like for D to say he had basically one of his best years of his career that next season, he doesn't remember it.
Mm.
He has to watch video to remind himself how he played that year. He just doesn't remember because the whole franchise was basically in a fog.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah, it was. And for those that didn't get the comp, I probably did a bad job of setting this up because this was 30 years ago. Like Jesse's a Celtics fan. He may not even know this Reggie Lewis story. Reggie died during a workout from sudden cardiac arrest. That was the Bronny James tie-in that Jason mentioned a few moments ago.
Sorry, but that was after a few months earlier in a playoff game.
Yeah, so that was weird. Like everyone knows that I think most people know 30 for 30s have been done on the Hank Gathers thing where I think the first time he like basically fainted at the free throw line, kind of like gathered himself, got back up. The next time he was backpedaling and died. Like he went down, like he died.
Yeah.
And Reggie's in the playoff game was so weird because it looked like he fell. Like he kind of like slipped forward, like almost like he was tired. Like he was running down the court and he like starts to slow down and he takes these like weird steps, goes to the ground. He's never like really down. He goes to the ground and he kind of sitting there for a minute, like, what the hell just happened? And then he gets up and that's where they learn he has some sort of heart thing. And then, of course, that leads to July 27th.
Yeah.
But great story, man. Just really, really great work. I caught it. I feel like it dropped like as soon as we got done talking. And, it stood out to us. You were talking about that you had, you had a lot of articles getting ready to post for The Athletic. Then you had this one with O'Shea, and then the one that dropped with O'Shea earlier. Man, this is great stuff, man. You're cooking over there at The Athletic.
I'm trying, it's I got some more stuff working on SummerSlam weekend. So got some stuff coming, some hip hop related stuff coming after that. So they got me, I'm all over the place right now.
The 50th anniversary is coming up next Friday.
Yeah.
When the 50th anniversary of hip hop, when do you know like the moment you fell in love with hip hop?
Being the like little mischievous into things I shouldn't have been listening to kid I was, I think the like my very early memories of hip hop was listening to 2 Live Crew with my cousin.
Oh my! Oh my!
Got a hold of some 2 Live Crew and some Slick Rick.
Man.
Okay.
And some Houdini, and I was like, "This is amazing!" And they're rhyming and they're saying stuff I'm not supposed to say, and I learned one Houdini song and went back to my mom's house. And she says, "You're a what? You do what after every show?" And I was like, "Oh, I ain't supposed to be saying this." I had to be like 7 or 8.
Oh, goodness gracious!
Yeah. So my mom was like, "Who taught you that song?"
Yeah, Houdini and 2 Live Crew are not the same thing. Like,
yeah,
those are two very different spectrums.
But when you learn a song called "I'm a Hoe" as a
well, that's.
I don't think my mom wanted her son going into the 3rd, 4th grade singing that.
Probably not.
I rocked 3 different freaks after every show. That was not age appropriate at all. But
oh man,
I was hooked. And then you started getting into the videos. But then musically, like my early like was probably Ice-T.
Okay.
Ice-T. Then NWA, and I would sneak and listen to my mom's Public Enemy tapes. So I heard It Takes a Nation, a Million to Hold It. I heard that and I was like, this is the greatest stuff ever. I'm like, it's music, but I'm like learning and it's smart. And yeah. So I was hooked about 87, 88. I was all in on hip hop.
Mm. How was it, talking to Ice Cube's son and just taking a step back and looking at what he's carved out in his life for his career, where he is an actor and he's really into sports and he does some sports commentary and he's created a lot of lanes for himself, and it's good to see because usually kids who have famous parents like that, they kind of get lost in the shuffle, especially like in the hip hop community and things like that. But he's carved out his own little space to create his own career outside of just being Ice Cube's son.
Yeah, he's like a ball of energy. He just is like, I don't know if I've ever seen him calm. He just goes and what did he say? He says his mom was pregnant with him at rap concerts, so that probably explains why he's always full of energy. But yeah, it's kind of see how hip hop brand has branched out. Like I know when I was a kid, we couldn't even imagine like rappers being old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's he gonna do when he's 30? It was like, like the idea of someone being 50 rapping going on tour, you'd be like, that's not gonna happen. So it's been kind of cool to see like the kids of rappers, and then you start watching college football, you start seeing Cameron play, someone named Cameron, Raekwon, and so you start to really kind of see the influence across sports. And remember a time when sports, didn't embrace hip hop at all. When David Stern, pretty much let Allen Iverson know we're not cool. We're not cool with this. They're covering his tattoos, and so now it's just weird that you really can't do sports without hip hop unless you're baseball, I guess. But
that even they're trying.
They're trying. So I just think it's, the LA Kings have Snoop Dogg night or something like every year.
Snoop's into hockey, right? Didn't he try to buy a hockey?
Yeah. So I mean, it's everywhere now. But it's just a trip now that like my kids, they don't, I have to tell them that LL Cool J and Ice Cube are not just actors; they actually did music. They're like, that guy made music. They can't, they see all these other guys like there's a generation who thinks Method Man is just the dude from Power.
Yeah, that's for real.
Yeah, so to me, it's cool to see that hip hop has been able to grow, expand, and I actually wrote a thesis about that for my undergrad degree. That was my thesis about where's hip hop going like in 20 years. And I predicted that. I think my thesis was that you're going to start seeing the commercialization of what was known as gangster rap even more so, and that will allow these artists to start going into more movies and non-traditional hip hop areas. And I mean, the RZA like was doing like meditation stuff. Like you can go on there and like listen to him give you guided meditation, which is crazy. Some of the things that RZA said in '94, and like now he's telling us to relax and breathe. And so I mean, hip hop's everywhere, and I love it.
Yeah,
Q. I know Q been a little funny lately, but one thing that's really dope, like him and Kim, his wife, they've been together for like 31 years. They've been together a really long time, and that's you talk about not normal in hip hop. That's not normal in life.
LL and his wife been together for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, and but LL stayed together, even though he had to write that. He wrote the book telling all his personal business.
Well,
Cube ain't been crazy enough to do nothing like that. Like, yeah, go ahead. One night on, like, no, don't do that. But it's talk about it. Yeah, that means like he was rapping about Kim in '92.
Yeah. By the way, y'all bullied 50 Cent into losing weight. Did you see 50 Method Man, who looks phenomenal? Luda and like I think
Wiz Khalifa,
that's right. Men's Health, Men's Fitness, something like that. And I saw 50, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, he's not the cover of Massacre, but that was photoshopped. But he looks good. Like y'all made fun of him enough to he was like, oh, I'm gonna get in shape.
He's like, yeah, go ahead and get back in the gym. You know, y'all made fun of me at the Super Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, hip hop's everywhere. They got fitness hip hop now, and
He's going on that tour. He knew he was like, this ain't gonna work. He going on that get rich or dying tour. He's like, I gotta get in shape.
Yeah, I can't be in a tank top looking like Jay Jones out there. Let me go ahead and get this thing right. Yeah, so it's like I said, it's just crazy to me, like seeing Snoop Dogg as like the uncle of America.
Yeah, wild.
And I think Snoop was probably one of the most, just to remind hip hop, one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah.
Like my kids are like, oh, we love Snoop Dogg. I'm like, why do you love Snoop Dogg? They're like, oh, he's so funny. Look at his commercials. And I'm like, that's the murder of the case, dude. Like, you couldn't have told us back in '93 Snoop would be like the most. This man has done like literally everything, like movies, clothes, adult films, everything. And either way,
he brought us Soul Plane.
Yeah, he brought. I love Soul Plane. I love terrible movies because I'm like,
it's awful.
I love movies like that because I don't watch a movie generally to be educated. I really want to just like space out and just like laugh at this foolishness. And that movie served it up on a platter for me. Like, send me all your bad movies. I'll watch it. Like, that's why I love Tubi. Send me all your bad movies.
Tubi is wild.
One of the greatest things. Greatest things about Soul Plane, if you went to the right barbershop, you got it like 2.5 years before it hit the theater.
I was circulating
like
for a while.
That was out there, and all of a sudden, oh, it's hit that. I was like, is this part 2?
Yeah, it's like everyone had seen it. Like, yeah.
And now Snoop is now he's with Jack in the Box.
Oh.
Yeah, he got his own. Yeah. He had to do that thing. Anything that's like related to the munchies, of course, he's gonna have like a munchie box. That's no shock. I mean, him before it was Lamar Odom with Taco Bell. So I mean, all those guys are gonna get their endorsements off with the I call it the munchie adjacent type endorsements.
Well,
Can't say why. I won't say why I'm hungry, but somehow a chicken sandwich, fries, and a brownie all make sense.
Well, most of them got their own strands now.
Yeah, it's
maybe you can't advertise that on a Jack in the Box commercial,
right.
but
you can't see that during the NBA finals.
Rick Ross got his own strand. Like these guys got their own.
A few former players have their own. Athletes have their own strands now.
Gary Payton got a right. Is it GP?
Yeah, don't Webb have his own too?
Yeah, Webb's teaching courses on weed, isn't he?
These people, I'm not proficient in it, but I got people around me who are, and it always cracks me up. So a lot of this happened because they be having the names, like the people who make it be having the names. They're like, oh yeah, you got that Larry Bird. I said, why you put Larry Bird's name in here?
Yeah, you have a Larry Bird. You have a Larry Bird. I've seen the Larry Bird. I'm like, man, they smoking on Larry Bird, man. They're smoking on the French. The hick from French Lick. I can't believe it. What a time to be alive. Who would have ever thought in 1980 something you'd be smoking Larry Bird?
I'm gonna ask Jerry Reynolds next time I see him. Hey, Jerry, what you know about that Larry Bird? Jerry, what you know about that Larry Bird, Jerry?
Oh my! I want to be there for that conversation. Does Larry know about this? Larry's got what?
Right.
Find out Larry licensed his name. What you talking about? I've been ahead of the curve.
Get on this, man.
Where's that Brad?
What you think I'm going out of them fields in Indiana?
Yeah, where's that Brad Miller though? I need that Brad Miller.
Oh, I don't know that I can handle the Brad Miller. I don't know that I can handle the Brad Miller strand.
Brad, I can neither confirm nor deny that Brad was chilling after game 2. Just in go-go.
Hey,
just chilling.
I can't confirm nor deny Brad was chilling before game 2 was over.
I seen him after. Just chilling, just outside. Hey, what's up, Brad? What's up?
I get the feeling.
What's up?
One
Brad
of my
may be living in a permanent state of chill at this point.
Yeah, one of my favorite Raiders stories ever is we're in a road game. They're playing the Titans, and I'm going into the hotel. I see a Raider coming off the elevator, eyes red, smelling like Christmas, with a big old bag of Doritos. And he just looks at me like, I'm like, man, I ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm just trying to go upstairs and chill and like go to sleep.
I'm not a drug tester, brother.
Yeah, bro, you ain't got to worry about me. This will not be in the Sacramento Bee tomorrow.
Hey, Hey, real quick, Jay. Do you agree that Domantas Sabonis is the most overrated player in the NBA?
Overrated?
Overrated, according to what's his name, Grant Hughes,
Bleacher Report.
Bleacher
yeah.
Report.
I
Grant
don't even
Hughes.
know who that is. First off, so I mean,
He's one. Domas is 1. 2 is Dylan Brooks.
Mhm.
3 is Valanciunas. 4 is Kawhi, and 5 is DeMar
DeMar.
DeRozan.
that's a wild list. You put Dylan Brooks and
A lot of
Sabonis.
Compton in Los Angeles in there too.
That's the most-
That's I sense a lot of hate in that list. You know, what DeMar DeRozan do to him? I mean, and my thing is, who rates Valanciunas so I don't understand. Like, I don't under. I've never heard anyone be like, man, that Valanciunas guy, my God, he's getting snubbed from the All-Star game. And everyone makes fun of Dylan Brooks. I'm like, I almost think it got to the point where Dylan Brooks was getting like killed unfairly to the point where he was a scrub. And I'm like, yeah, he can't shoot, but he's not as bad as we made fun of him. It's a
Right.
weird list. Like, I don't know. I mean, what does Sabonis do to get on that list?
I guess it really comes down
It's a
to
weird list. You got like a 5-6 time All-Star at 5, and
right.
a guy who
The
was like
Finals
all
MVP.
NBA third team. I mean, at the top.
You got
I mean,
a Finals MVP on here.
I don't think anyone calls Sabonis like, you know, Jokic. I don't think anyone is put him up there like, yeah, I don't know. I don't read a lot of this stuff for a reason, because you got a lot of people who don't watch a lot of people making overarching, you know, conclusions on people they barely watch a lot of times, or they're talking to their buddy who's a scout, and the scout gives them 5 names and they run with it. So that's why I would say, don't read that stuff. Save yourself.
It feels like, and there's a lot of people, to be fair, there's a lot of people, and do what you want with it, but NBA Twitter and NBA community who feel like Domas is overrated. And it feels like it all stems back to this one playoff series, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, well,
He didn't play well, but damn, he's overrated.
We got to think about this too. A lot of folks didn't really watch a lot of Kings basketball till the playoffs. So if your first look of him is that, you're like, ooh, why was this guy an all-star? My God, Kevon Looney's putting him in prison right now. Like, really? You know, and so if that was your first, I mean, think about it. Who was really watching him play in Indiana?
Well.
And then he goes from Indiana to Sacramento. I remember when they made the trade. I'm like, I like this trade. I'm like, Sabonis is good. People are like, what do you mean? I'm like, trust me. If you've watched the NBA, he's a good player. Now, was he, you know, I mean, if you want to say he's not a top 10 player, okay. But I mean, I don't think to call him the most overrated guy in the league. Like I said, I don't know Mr. Hughes. I wish him well in all his endeavors, but I can't. And yeah, I can't say he's the most overrated player in the league. That's like, yeah.
He shouldn't even be on that list. Like,
well, it's a weird list. It's a weird list.
Yeah.
Like Valanciunas, okay, who I've never heard anyone hype up Valanciunas like ever.
That's a great point. You actually have to be rated to be overrated.
Yeah, it's like I've never heard. I almost made like a mean joke, but I won't say that. You know, it's like, it was like saying Trey Lance is like a top quarterback, and
that is a mean joke. That's completely uncalled for.
3 draft picks given up for the 3rd string quarterback. That's awesome work right there.
Oh, it's because the first one is the guy who took his spot is about to be the next Tom Brady. That's Trey Lance's fault. It's not Trey Lance's fault that he got Wally picked for Tom Brady too.
Oh my God, I'm so glad football is back. I get to hear great stuff like that again. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. That's okay. I don't care about the NFL. You know.
The previous Tom Brady 2 is in Las Vegas.
Wow,
that was the old Tom Brady 2.
Yeah, and Belichick Part 2 was still there, unfortunately.
That's very unfortunate, my friend.
I mean, hey, you know, Josh Jacobs is at home. You know, they got a quarterback who doesn't like who's not great at the defense.
Doritos smoking the Larry Bird.
And yeah, and see now, I start thinking about the Raiders season and start saying, okay, they're not going to be bad enough to get the top pick. They're about to be in that 6-win range, and they're going to do just enough to be close and lose a bunch of games probably. And Max Crosby will be great. Devontae will put up these crazy numbers, but every time he goes deep, the quarterback will look at him like, "Why are you doing that? I throw to running backs and right around here." And that's not a knock on Jimmy for me. It's just that I don't understand the fit. But hey, what do I know? Josh
More than
McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels. I know that. You know more than Josh McDaniels.
Josh is a genius. Have you heard what Mark Davis said? He's doing a fantastic job.
Oh boy.
You got to give him time, Yeah. You trade for Devontae Adams and sign Max to that big deal just to develop people. Give me a break.
It's gonna be a fun season with Jay for sure. Hey, keep up the great work, man. We're tapped into everything you're dropping over there, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
All
you.
right, got some more stuff coming this week, y'all. Even though the people in the comments are mad, like, what is it? I'm like, it says culture. So if you don't want to read this, you can just go ahead and scroll by. But hey,
Yeah, it's tough. People can't compute that. Like
I didn't ask to read about this. Well, don't. So you got all the way to the bottom and left a comment because you didn't want to read it.
My browser forced me to click on this.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Jay the Hits, man. We appreciate you, my
All
brother.
right, y'all
Thanks
take
for
it
being
easy.